Yeah, Heat and Bucks Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. The NBA season continues, and you have the best of the games right here on your home of champions with about Zion. Yeah, Suns and Pelicans. Yeah, Chris Paul at the Suns. Tuesday, 10 p.m. It's cricket, though, that we're going to talk about because the West Indies have announced they've announced much change in the Test and One-Day international squads for the tour of Bangladesh from January 10 to February 15 next year. Test captain Jason Holder and white ball skipper Kyron Pollard head a list of 10 absentees from a tour which will feature 2 tests and 3 one-dayers. These are the players who say they are unavailable to play in Bangladesh due to worries over health and other considerations. Holder, Pollard, Chase, Bravo, Shamar Brooks, Sheldon Cottrell, Evan Lewis, Shea Hope, Shimron Hetmeyer, Nicholas Pooran. Note that Fabian Allen and Shane Dorridge were unavailable because of personal reasons. So Craig Brathwaite will lead the test side with Jermaine Blackwood as his deputy, and that full test squad reads Brathwaite, Blackwood, Nkrumah Bonner, John Campbell, Raheem Cornwall, Joshua Da Silva, Shannon Gabriel, Kavim Hodge, Alzari Joseph, Kyle Mears, Shane Mosley, Vera Sami Pramal, Kimar Roach, Raymond Reefer, and Jomel Warrican. Jason Mohammed, who last played for the Windies in 2018, will lead an ODI team with Sunil Ambris as his vice-captain, and they're accompanied by Nkrumah Bonner. Da Silva will play ODI cricket as well. Jamar Hamilton, Shamar Holder, Akil Hussain, Alzari Joseph, Kyle Mears, Andre Blubber McCarthy, Kijoran Otley, Rovman Powell, Raymond Reefer, Romario Shepherd, and the spinner Hayden Walsh Jr. West Indies chief selector Roger Harper says tours of Bangladesh are never easy, and despite the absence of several senior players, he expects the team to be competitive. The Cricket West Indies chief executive Johnny Grave has reiterated that players do have the option of opting out of an overseas tour over fears of safety and I'm sure other considerations. He says a decision to opt out of a tour will not count against a player's future selection. And we're pleased to have Johnny with us now. Good afternoon, Johnny. Welcome to the SportsMax Zone again.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Great. Let's start at the obvious place, the players who have opted out. From the perspective of Cricket West Indies, and given what you're trying to do in this most difficult time, is it disappointing that your biggest names, your best players, have chosen to not make themselves available for this mission to Bangladesh?
No, I wouldn't say it's disappointing. I think we knew when we started this process back in the end of May that it was going to be difficult for players to continue to play in very unusual circumstances and also leave friends and families at home in the Caribbean and travel, in the case of certainly New Zealand and Bangladesh on multiple planes would be a long way from home with still, uncertainty around COVID-19 and what, the impact might be on being able to get home, how quickly, and then when players get home, what quarantine requirements may or may not exist. So we knew that from the outset it was going to be a challenge, and I guess in reflection, at the end of the year, to have played the amount of cricket we have, with tour to England away, hosting the Caribbean Premier League in very strict biosecure bubble in Trinidad, followed by the IPL, and then that New Zealand tour that the players have just got back from, and some players in Trinidad have just got out of quarantine and isolation. So, we knew it was going to be unprecedented times and difficult for players, and we said from the outset we'd accept any player who chose, due to these unprecedented times and unprecedented conditions for these tours, to opt out. And in the case of this tour, we've had our largest number of players opt out, but I think it gives me a lot of confidence that we're going with the leadership group of team management support all there, so that Phil Simmons and the best technical coaches will be there to support these teams in, echoing what Roger Harper said, and what will be a difficult tour, because we know Bangladesh at home in their own conditions are a strong team.
But Johnny, with that said, how can it not be a disappointment when Cricket West Indies is satisfied with the conditions being laid out by our hosts in Bangladesh? You're satisfied with those conditions enough to be sending a team to start with. Under those circumstances where ambassadors for the West Indies are going to Bangladesh, how can you not be disappointed that the A-list players, the top 10, so to speak, have opted to not travel?
I think, look, I'm satisfied that we've gone through, again, a really robust and lengthy process with the Bangladesh Cricket Board to ensure that the players will be safe in Bangladesh. We've also spent a lot of time with the players talking through these medical plans and protocols, and we've had our medical doctors, including Dr. Mansingh, who actually went on a pre-tour visit for the first time. We knew that Bangladesh would present new challenges, and that's why we took the decision to send not just Dr. Mansingh, but also our safety, security and compliance officer, Paul Slow, to also go there to try and give everyone the comfort that they would be safe. And we said from the outset the players' health and well-being would be our number one priority, and that continues to be the case. Look, that said, but again, we're pioneers. No one international team has been to Bangladesh since COVID-19, and therefore we have to accept that whilst the best medical practitioners who have kept the players safe to date to allow international cricket and Caribbean Premier League cricket to return safely, have given this their blessing, and they are confident that the plans that the BCB with us have put in place to ensure player safety are robust. We have to accept that these unprecedented times mean that some players, for whatever reason they have, may not be confident enough to go. And the one thing we don't want is players going, they're not confident that they're going to be in a safe environment, because we know that they just won't perform if they've got uncertainties around the conditions that they're going to be playing in. So it's important that we go with players that feel safe and happy to go, because we know that that's going to give us the best opportunity for those players to perform.
On the point of the financial implications, Johnny, the question is this: what is the gain for the West Indies from undertaking this tour at this time? How much do we stand to earn, or how much would we have stood to lose had we opted not to send teams to honor the fixtures under the Test and ODI arrangement?
Well, these fixtures form part of the one-day internationals are part of the ICC Super League, which is the qualification process for the next 50-over World Cup that's due to take place in 2023, and the Test matches are part of the World Test Championship. So we've got a contractual obligation to fulfil the tours under that programme, and clearly once we've gone through that robust process to ensure that the players are safe, we're duty-bound and contracted to tour. At the moment, there's no direct financial gain for West Indies to tour Bangladesh or go on any away tour because of the way international cricket is structured. But this is our last away tour obligation, and we would have met all of our away obligations under that contract that we signed along with other full members of the ICC. We would have fulfilled all of our away tours. The best thing that I'm looking forward to financially is the fact that this is our last away obligation for almost a year, for 11 months. We will, after this tour, host, after our Super 50 Cup, a tour of Sri Lanka, followed by South Africa, Australia and Pakistan before the Caribbean Premier League next year. So this is our last away tour obligation, and then to have 4 home tours in a year is unprecedented, and that will have positive financial implications and impact on Cricket West Indies, which is well needed.
Yeah, Johnny, you just mentioned by your own admission that the Bangladesh trip presents new challenges or different challenges from the England and New Zealand trips that the players would have gone on in the past 6 or 7 months. What would those be?
I think firstly they are a long way from home, and whilst you're obviously a long way from home in New Zealand, the situation from COVID point of view and also the biosecure bubble was very different. After the 14-day quarantine in New Zealand, the players knew that, all being well, which it was likely and predicted to be, that they would be able to tour New Zealand for the remainder of the tour without any biosecure restrictions. The case in Bangladesh is very different for the entire tour. They'll be in a similar situation to the UK. They'll be confined to their hotel and the cricket grounds where they'll either train or play. And that will be very strictly managed, and they'll have no contact whatsoever with the Bangladesh public or communities. So it's a tour where the biosecure measures from the time of their arrival to the time of their departure will be strictly adhered to and monitored and managed. and they're, 3 international flights at least from home, and that creates its own challenges. We had the sad news during the New Zealand tour of Guimar Roche's father passing away, and not being able to immediately get home or get home quickly in that case. And we've also had the situation where Trinidad players have then had to also go into government quarantines when they get home. So there's still a huge amount of uncertainty in terms of how players travel to tours, how they get back from tours, and then the conditions in which they have to tour. And I think all of that plays on players' minds, and we certainly want players going there with clear minds, confident that they're going to be safe, and allows them to then focus on preparing for what will be very important and very competitive international matches.
Yeah, and Johnny, the management team remains stable, remains intact, but you've got your 2 captains, the red ball captain and the white ball captain, standing down for the tour. So new captains are being appointed for this series. What sort of work will be done with Craig Brathwaite and Jason Mohammed to prepare them for this tough job?
Well, I think in the case of Craig, he's obviously done it before. I think he's even captained a team in Bangladesh. So both of the captains and the vice captains will be working with Phil Simmons and the management group to I think, really get the players prepared and get themselves prepared, and get the players to understand what a great opportunity this is. I think representing the West Indies, as you said, at international level is the pinnacle of any player's career, and these players have got a real opportunity now to perform. And if they perform, as I said, with that unprecedented run of home matches, we know that all teams in the world struggle to play away from home. If they can perform in Bangladesh, more than likely they'll retain their places for Sri Lanka, and then we've got the visits of South Africa, Australia and Pakistan. So a real opportunity for some players to establish an international career.
Yep. Thank you very much for your contribution today, Johnny Grave. All the best to you.
Thank you very much, and all the best and Happy New Year to everyone there.
Excellent. That's the Cricket West Indies CEO, Johnny Grave. As we breaking news out of England, the former Test umpire John Holder is suing the England and Wales Cricket Board for alleged racial discrimination. Holder, the most notable black British umpire in English cricket, says he umpired in 11 tests, but he was dropped from the ECB's test match list in 1991, a few weeks after reporting an incident of alleged ball tampering by an England player in the Ashes test at the Oval. Much more to come on this story in the coming days.